Monica Williams had always known her husband, Lucas, to be a man of mystery. It wasn't the kind of mystery that pushed her away, though. No, it was the type of mystery that drew her in, that made her fall in love with him all those years ago. They had been together since they were teenagers, growing up in the bustling streets of Chicago. Their love story started with long walks through the vibrant city, talking under the twinkling streetlights, and making promises to each other about the future. Back then, they dreamed of a life filled with love, laughter, and adventure. But life, as it often does, took a sharp turn. One warm summer afternoon, as they were heading home after a picnic with their two young children, a car came speeding out of nowhere. In a split second, everything changed. Lucas had acted instinctively, throwing himself across the kids to shield them from the impact. But Monica wasn't as fortunate. The crash crushed her spine, leaving her paralyzed from the waist down. What had once been a bright, active future now felt like a distant memory. The doctors were blunt. The chances of regaining movement are slim. Monica remembered the sound of those words as if they had been spoken just moments ago. The sterile scent of the hospital lingered in her mind, and the pain in Lucas's eyes spoke louder than any words ever could. That night, in the quiet of their hospital room, Lucas whispered to her, "I'm here, baby. I'm never leaving your side." And he meant it. Every day since, he kept that promise. He did everything in his power to help her adjust to her new reality. But for Monica, it felt as though her world had been encased in glass, beautiful, but fragile. She couldn't go on spontaneous hikes anymore. She couldn't feel the rush of wind in her face or the grass beneath her feet. She was a prisoner of her own body, and it weighed heavily on her soul. Lucas, ever the optimist, worked tirelessly to lift her spirits. He would cook her favorite meals, plan outings, and remind her every day of how much he loved her. But despite his efforts, Monica couldn't escape the sense of loss that clung to her heart. As the months passed, life found a new routine. The kids adopted. Lucas continued to care for the family. And Monica tried her best to accept the changes, though the pain of not being able to live her old life still gnawed at her. But there was something else, something she couldn't ignore. Every night, when the children were tucked into bed, Lucas would quietly slip out of the house and head to the garage. At first, she didn't think much of it. Lucas had always been handy, always working on little projects here and there. But as the weeks stretched on, her curiosity grew. What was he doing out there? The sounds from the garage, a faint hum of tools, the occasional clang of metal, became a nightly ritual. She asked him once what he was working on, but Lucas only smiled, that same mysterious smile she had fallen in love with, and kissed her forehead. "It's a surprise. Trust me, you'll see." But his secrecy started to gnaw at her. What was he hiding? Why wouldn't he let her in? Doubt crept in, and the questions haunted her every night. Was he hiding something from her? One night, the mystery became too much to bear. Her heart was racing as she decided she had to know. She waited until Lucas had been in the garage long enough, giving him time to become fully engrossed in whatever he was working on. Her palms were clammy, her mind racing with a whirlwind of emotions, fear, curiosity, and an aching loneliness she hadn't voiced. Slowly, she wheeled herself toward the door, careful not to make a sound. The door creaked open just enough for her to peer inside, and what she saw took her breath away. In the center of the garage, surrounded by tools, metal scraps, and blueprints taped to the walls, was a custom-built, all-terrain wheelchair. But it wasn't just any wheelchair. It looked powerful, sturdy, and ready to conquer any terrain. The thick wheels were reinforced, and the frame had a rugged, military-grade look to it. It was clear that this was no ordinary device. It was something more, something built with love, with purpose. Lucas was hunched over the machine, his face focused and determined. His hands were scarred from the hours of work he had poured into this project. His clothes were stained with grease, and there were bags under his eyes. She could see the toll the project had taken on him, but it was the look of unwavering dedication that struck her most. Before she could stop herself, a sob escaped her lips. The sound broke the silence, and Lucas's head snapped up, his eyes widening in surprise. Guilt flashed across his face, but it was quickly replaced by that soft, reassuring smile, the same smile that had once made her fall in love with him. "Monica!" His voice was thick with emotion. "I wanted to surprise you." Monica wheeled herself closer, her eyes never leaving the machine. Tears streamed down her face, but they weren't tears of sorrow. They were tears of disbelief, of love, of gratitude. "Lucas, how did you—" Her voice trembled. He knelt beside her, taking her hand in his calloused one. "You've been through so much, Monica. I see it every day. I see the pain you try to hide, and I couldn't just sit back and watch you lose everything you love. I wanted to give that back to you. I wanted to give you your life back." Monica's fingers brushed over the machine's sleek frame, her heart swelling with emotions too big to put into words. She could see the hours, the sacrifices, the love he had poured into this project. It wasn't just a wheelchair. It was a symbol of his commitment to her. Together, they spent the next few hours talking about the machine, how Lucas had designed it, how he had saved up the money, how each part had been carefully crafted with her in mind. Every piece had a purpose, every detail a memory of her old life, of the adventures they had shared. The first time Monica used the wheelchair, Lucas, their 2 kids, and even their dog joined her on a nearby nature trail. The kids ran ahead, their laughter echoing through the trees, while Monica navigated the trail with newfound freedom. For the first time since the accident, she felt alive again. The wind in her hair, the sun on her face, and the rough texture of the earth beneath her wheels. It was everything she had missed and more. Lucas watched her with pride in his eyes. Every time they encountered an obstacle on the trail, he was there to help her over it. His encouragement was unwavering. "We're in this together," he reminded her. When they reached a scenic overlook, Monica looked out at the horizon, tears filling her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'll always find a way to bring you joy, Monica," Lucas replied softly, pulling her into an embrace. But the story didn't end there. Inspired by Monica's newfound joy and freedom, Lucas realized there were others like her. People who had lost parts of themselves and their lives to circumstances beyond their control. As a former mechanic and a proud veteran, he knew how to fix things, how to make life easier for others. So he began building similar all-terrain wheelchairs for veterans and individuals in their community who had been paralyzed or suffered injuries. Word spread, and soon, people were reaching out to offer support. Lucas poured his heart into each build, knowing that each wheelchair was a chance for someone else to reclaim a piece of their life that they thought was lost forever. With Monica by his side, they started a nonprofit, using donations and volunteers to build and distribute the custom wheelchairs to those who needed them most. Their kids helped out, painting, assembling, and delivering the chairs, all the while seeing the joy and hope that these machines brought to others. Each new wheelchair delivered was a reminder of the power of love, the importance of community, and the resilience of the human spirit. And through it all, Monica and Lucas found healing. They took the pain of their past and turned it into something beautiful. Their love, tested by hardship, grew stronger than ever before. And every night, as they lay together, Monica would reach for Lucas's hand, a silent reminder of the promise he had kept. No matter what life threw their way, he would always find a way to bring her joy.